Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Ghost Biker Garage. I'm your host, the Ghost Biker, and this week I am back here in the garage here in Cleveland, Tennessee, and it's been a great week so far. Happy June, and we closed out May with some really amazing events. We had the haunting ride with Ghost Biker last week that was coupled with the Memorial Day weekend ride and museum tour with the historic Scott County Jail. We'll talk a little bit about that. I had hoped to actually have a video ready by this week, but unfortunately, it has been a super busy week, and those videos take some time to put together. So I'm about halfway there. Hopefully, we'll have something before the weekend is up that we can share some highlights from that ride. But just to kind of touch base on it just a little bit, it was so cool to be able to partner with R.M. Brooks General Store in Rugby, Tennessee, as well as the historic Scott County Jail. We had it was a 98-mile ride that started in beautiful Harriman, Tennessee, and the first leg of it went up the gorgeous Cumberland Plateau. We went up through there. We stopped at the R.M. Brooks General Store. They were having a Biker Appreciation Day. We had amazing entertainment. They gave away stickers and some other giveaway items. She blessed the bikes, and we had some of their famous bologna sandwiches. Then we headed out onto the second leg of the ride, which went through the Big South Fork, traveled through there. It was about another hour ride, and then ended at the historic Scott County Jail. We had a guided tour of that, and it was just a fun day had by all. We had 17 riders total, which is a good amount for a motorcycle ride. We've had over 100 before. We've had close to 50. I kind of like the smaller, more intimate rides because, you can really get in there, get to know the folks who are on the ride with you. And it was just an amazing group. So we're going to be doing some more of those. And I apologize for the glare in my glasses there. Sorry about that. But we hope to have more of those rides coming up soon. We're looking at doing another one this month. And, we had folks travel from North Georgia all the way up to Harriman. So they already had about an hour and a half ride all the way up there. We had folks from Southern Kentucky come down. We had quite a few folks from Crossville ride over. And then we had several folks who were relocated from Ohio. So we love being able to introduce those folks to the beautiful scenic scenery here in East Tennessee, as well as sharing those haunting stories of the areas that we ride through. So be on the lookout for more of those rides that are going to be coming up, not only that are our Ghost Biker rides, but also rides that are going to be coming up at the historic Scott County Jail. We hope to be doing those monthly, and we'll have some really cool stops that are going to be along the way. So stay on the lookout for that. We also just opened up the remainder of the calendar for the private paranormal investigations at the jail. Super exciting. We had the calendar open through the end of August, and we were really trying to get some really cool events planned for this fall at the jail. And we kind of had to wait for some of our partners and such there within the community, because a lot of things goes on in the fall. And so we wanted to make sure that we had those dates kind of nailed down. So we've got all that cleared up, got the calendar open. So any of you guys that are booking your fall investigations, you can actually go in. I'm going to pull this up here on the screen. You can actually go in and book your dates for your private paranormal investigations. Those run Thursday through Sunday nights. And then also a lot of our different events. We've announced all of our June events, flashlight tours, guided ghost hunts, those sort of things. You can book those at www.historicscottcojail.com. So make sure to go check that out, get the tickets, because some of those events, they go pretty fast. We did have a couple groups in today at the historic Scott County Jail. The TCAT group, they brought 2 groups of kids to the jail, was able to take tours. Dr. Sumner led them on some really fun, cool tours. And, we're always telling people, if you have a group of, if you have a camp going on, a church group, or, anything going on during the summer, we love large groups there at the jail. So contact us at 423-663 5353, or go onto the website. We've got our email address on there, and we can customize those tours for you for your large groups and such. So that's everything that's going on there at the jail. We are working on a few more Ghost Biker events. Like I said, we will have a couple more rides coming up. I'm working on a special event that I'll be announcing this week that's going to involve Octagon Hall, and it's going to take place on September 10th. It's going to be a motorcycle ride as well as a paranormal investigation. So I am so very excited to be partnering with Bear and the folks there at Octagon Hall to create a really unique event, and that's going to take place on September 10th. We're also working with the London Laurel Tourism Commission and Wildcat Harley Davidson for an event that's going to be taking place the last weekend of September and October. So it's like September 30th and October 1st. Super excited about this one. It's going to be a 2-day event, but you don't have to book for the entire weekend. There are multiple things you'll be able to do. There's going to be a motorcycle ride, but if you're not a biker, no problem. You'll be able to come and do the investigation, but we're going to be making 4 different stops. There are 4, possibly a few more on this ride. So we're still working on the final details of that, but September is going to be super busy month. We also have the Deep South Paracon that's going to be taking place in Southern Alabama. We'll have more information on that as well. So again, super excited about these events that are coming up. So I want to take just a few minutes to say hello to everyone here in the chat room. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you for sticking with us every week. You guys are what makes these shows awesome. And we do have an awesome guest for everyone tonight. Just recently, I was on his show, which airs Friday nights on KUNX Digital Broadcasting. I think it's the X. And really, really enjoyed it. And so the places that this guy investigates are places that are actually really near and dear to my heart because, you know, being a co-owner at the historic Scott County Jail, I absolutely love hearing stories from other people who investigate at jails. And so he's provided me with a ton of evidence that we're going to be talking about and sharing tonight. So very excited about that, but I'm going to go ahead, read his introduction here, and then we're going to get on with it because, like I said, we've got a lot of cool things to talk about. So my guest tonight is none other than paranormal investigator, podcaster, and author Dan Terry. He's been fascinated with the supernatural and paranormal since watching his first episode of Kolchak, the Night Stalker, in the mid-1970s. That continued with an intense interest in history and storytelling, honed by his years as a cave guide at Meramec Caverns. That placed him on the road to paranormal investigating as well as writing. Since then, Dan has written 7 books, many newspaper articles, magazine articles, and he is a retired police chief from New Haven Police Department. And that's just a small section of his background. So I'm going to go ahead, bring him on, and let him tell you himself how he got started and what he's all about. So welcome, Dan.
Hi, Miranda. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to come on.
No, it's an honor. I do want to let your people know, and I can see by the comments how many you've got. When you was a guest on my show, it tripled the normal number of people who watch it. I mean, you've got an amazing fan club, I guess, that follows you around because they really upped my numbers. It's incredible.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. They do. You know, I love the folks that come in every week, and you know, they ask such great questions. They you know, they participate a lot, and they go and you know, check people's stuff out. So you know, I absolutely love them. And I'll just reiterate, if anyone has any questions for myself or for Dan tonight, be sure to come on and put your comments here in this chat group over there. If you don't mind, just make sure to try to make those comments in all caps, just so I make sure that I don't miss anyone whenever we're going through. So Dan, go ahead and tell us about Spook Stalker and you know your books. Tell us how you got started.
Well, as you said, I was 10, 11, 12 years old when I watched Kolchak, the Night Stalker, for the first time. And I don't know if you ever saw it. Race has never seen it. My producer, a lot of folks haven't now. But it was the predecessor to the X-Files. And It was one reporter who kept finding himself in paranormal situations, vampires, zombies, headless motorcycle riders. And I mean, the special effects were hokey, but the writing was incredible. And the way he investigated was going to, when he was up against a witch, he went to a lecture in witchcraft, bought the book, and figured out how to fight it. Same thing when he was going up against the headless motorcycle rider, he went to a museum that was basically about the French Revolution and the legends of the headless people looking, bodies walking around looking for their heads after the revolution. And he always took it as finding out with research rather than just going in and, with the guns. So, and that's what really got me started. I started ghost hunting myself when I got my driver's license at 16. And I did that until I was joining the Coast Guard. And I quickly found out that when I go into a room with nobody else in there and talk to the dead, you don't get promoted. So backed off. No, had to stop. And got out of the Coast Guard in 86, became a police officer, same story. Nobody trusts you. And even though I don't watch Ghost Hunters and haven't for years, I got to give them credit. They brought it mainstream.
That's right.
And that allowed me to go back into what I was doing, start writing about it. And it's been a blast. It's been I think it was the Deadheads, the Grateful Dead, who said, what a long, strange trip it's been. That's me.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And it looks like over here in the comments, Sandy Wolf, she's seen Night Stalker and says that Greek goddess was one of her favorite.
That was a good one. Yeah. And there he went to a Greek person to ask about Greek gods. So he did the research rather than, as in the X-Files, they just went in guns blazing,
Exactly. And, it's shows like that and Unsolved Mysteries and all of those late 70s, early 80s shows that really, in my opinion, paved the way for great investigators. I mean, Ghost Adventures, Taps, all of those, they have their own spot in paranormal history, but those shows going back, because that's when you had to really do your research, you had to go to the archives, you had to talk to people, you couldn't just sit down and ask the oracle known as Google to, give you whatever answer you needed. You really had to dig for that. You
did. And I spent a lot of time back then in the morgue of different newspapers and libraries. And I still do that. I still go to libraries and look this stuff up. That's when I started writing, but it's there. It's not always online, but it's always in the newspaper.
Did you find that when people found out what you did and what your interest was, especially being a police officer and being in the Coast Guard, did you find that once they found out that you had a lot of people coming kind of in secret and talking to you, getting your opinion, or was it still a pretty hush-hush sort of thing?
Oh, no. I would have to say that, and I'd been a cop for several years when Ghost Hunters come out, and then when I actually got started again. But I was able to get into people's homes. They trusted me immediately. Okay. And I, small town cop in the Midwest, it's still very pro police there. Yes. So they trusted me. A lot of groups came and went. I kept going because people liked the idea of a police officer with them. They felt almost comforted by, if he's here, it's going to be okay. And I really enjoyed that. I did a lot of good things. I wrote, well, like you said, 7 or 8 books now because I was able to get into those places because they trusted the police.
And I understand that completely, because with where we're at there at the historic Scott County Jail, we've had these sworn law officials reach out to us. And, before the jail was even abandoned, they reached out to us and they're like, hey, I'm not sure how I feel about this, but we had these experiences. And there's just something coming from, because like you said, the area we're from, there's a lot of respect for law enforcement and that sort of thing. So if it's someone who's in law enforcement or corrections or, social work, that sort of thing, these people, they are more trusted. And we put a lot of stock in what they told us just for that purpose.
Yes, and they don't seem to be as afraid because
Exactly.
you're there. Even though I could tell them the little gun on my hip is absolutely useless, but they felt comforted because I was there. And hey, if I could bring some hope and help to them, great.
So what was your first investigation?
Oh wow, that's wild. I guess. Well, I went to the Lamp Mansion in St. Louis, and I know the place is very haunted. I've got good friends. They're a group that I've worked with many times. The St. Louis Paranormal Research Society runs the tours there, and have gotten some awesome photographs. I've been there 4 times, and the most I've ever done was chased a lens flare around a room. Yeah, I've never gotten anything to speak of there when I was investigating. There was a lady there named Betsy Bellinger who used to run a tour, and she gave me stories for my second book, which was Missouri Shadows. And I went to give her a copy and thank her for it. And I was walking with the tour, and there's a legend there of Zeke. Zeke is supposed to be a child of the Lemps that they hid because he was very mentally retarded and very messed up, which I do not believe that in any way. I believe what we found out later is that had been a hospital, and what they think of as Zeke was a child who had been left there after the Lemps. But she's staring into the bathroom, and she's putting on a show. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. And she's calling for Zeke to come out. And I'm looking out the hallway, and I'm watching these shadow people literally running around the hall. And 2 of them ran behind a Coke machine out in the hallway. And she's still calling for Zeke. Hey, lady, I don't know about Zeke, but you got shadow people dancing out here for you. And but she was a sweetheart. And that was the first experience that I really had with shadow people. And after that, boy, there's places in Washington, Missouri. I've got a book about it called Supernatural Washington. I believe that's it. Yes.
That's it. Yeah. Great book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I had so many experiences there. And if you got to read much of it, the John Bush Brewery was incredible. After that book come out, I got the chance to do the brewery one more time under the new owner. It was the Franklin County's 200th anniversary, and with the help of the county, I put up 4 ghost hunts. We sold tickets for it in the most historical buildings in the whole county, and that was one of them. And he went along with it. And I went back in there. One of the best stories that happened to me, and the book was already out. And I've got video. The video's incredible. I'll have to show you sometime. I walked in, this ghost was picking on the girls, the women who worked there, and it was purposely scaring them. And I dealt with this same spirit several times. And I went in there, told him I was shutting him down. We're not going to have this anymore. And what do you got to say about it? And the meters went off, beeped, flashed. And I said, is that all you've got is one? Tell me what you really want. And then it went off several times and stopped. And I said, well, that ain't going to work. I'm still telling you, knock it off, or I'm coming back here with a priest and an ass whooping. And my friend Tim, the psychic, believe me, he hates the word psychic, but I'm going to use it. It's easier. He says to me, Dan, don't turn your back on him. He will stab you. And I said, well, I hope he does. And I turned around, and the moment I did, all the meters behind me went insane. I mean, beep, 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 beep. Damn, Tim, you're right. He was trying to stab me in the back. But yeah, that would be the most haunted place I've dealt with, would be the John Bush Brewery.
Wow. And like Dan said, this is a great book. And so, I love the way you write your books and tell your stories. Cause I know some people like myself, I put mine out into videos and that sort of thing, but I love the way you write about your investigations. I mean, in some of them, it's like you just immerse the people right into the investigation, and you give great history on them. So it's just great books.
Troy Taylor, who I think is one of the best researchers ever. I mean, this man, I've read some of his books. I read his book on the Bell Witch. He even went down to the names of the slaves of John Bell.
Wow.
He really gets into the research, but it's very clinical. And I like to write like an adventure story. Let's go in and have the adventure. This is Mac Bolan, Remo Williams, King Solomon's Mines, whatever. Let's get in and have some fun with it. So that's what I kind of put in front of me when I'm writing.
And you really see that because, and that's what I like about it, because you still give the history, but it's not so deep and in depth that you're sitting there and it's like, oh my gosh, who was that again? What, and it's interesting. Like you said, it's an adventure. And so the investigations, they're easy reads. They're not overextensive. They're to the point. It's great. I highly recommend any of Dan's books, and we'll pull those up here in just a little bit. But have you always had a passion for writing?
Yes, actually, maybe 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 books into this, my editor, who was also my publisher at the time, had been doing research for something at the local library and found some stuff I'd written for the newspaper in 1980. And had to bring it to me, and I honestly didn't remember it. But okay, yeah, whoa, hey, that's funny. I like that. I'm going to use that.
Nice. So, are jails your favorite type of places to investigate, or does that kind of go along with your background of being a police chief and being in the military?
The first jail I did, which was Gasconay County, and I'm not counting the prisons. I did the Ohio State Reformatory and the Missouri State Penitentiary. But the one in Herman, I fell into. I had worked with the sheriff. I was a cop in another town. He was a deputy at the same time in that county. And we'd worked together. He trusted me. His secretary really loves ghosts and ghost hunting. And she was a German firecracker. Let me tell you, she was hilarious. But she made him invite me in. And once I got in there, I was just amazed. The ghosts there were not mean to the police. They were not hateful. And I found out why later as I researched it, at least one of them. But they were, I think, just lonely. And they were reacting and just having a big time with us. And since then, I've done 2 police stations and a couple county jails. And it's been one adventure after another. The ghosts just seem to relate to the police. I've done a house of a police officer, and the ghosts just dealt with me better. So I think the ghosts deal with police better. Except for that one at the John Bush Brewery, because he hated the police. Let me tell you.
Well, and we seem to find that type of activity there at the jail. So whenever we have corrections, social workers, police officers come in, it's totally different because they know the talk, and there's just a specific way they ask the questions and interact with the spirits, and they get different interaction. It never fails. Mm-hmm. And so, when I was a member of a team, one of our teammates was a police officer. He was a motor officer. And so it was always fun to investigate with him because it didn't matter what type of location we went to, whether we went to a house, we did a lot of Civil War houses here in Chattanooga, whether we went to a house, a school, a penitentiary, it didn't fail. He always responded in a certain way. And kids really seem to like him as well, mm-hmm. especially like at Octagon Hall and these locations that had a strong kid presence. They seem to like the officer. But then in the jail, they seem to respond, really great to these officers. So I can totally understand that.
I have the same thing in the Missouri State Penitentiary. The prisoners there seem to want to talk to me. And they wanted me to tell them something. I had one in the Fox Theater in St. Louis, said he was a murderer and wanted to confess to me. Oh, okay. We're going to be confessing with yes or no questions, so we'll do the best we can. But I don't know. It's something about the badge, I guess. Some ghosts relate to that.
I can totally understand. So we've got a couple questions here in the chat room that we're going to break into. Sheila Brown says, "Have you ever been harmed during an investigation?"
I've been bit, kicked, scratched, and shoved, but I've never been hurt other than a little bit of blood from a scratch or something like that. But no, I've never actually been what I would call injured. My pet cat, Lucifer, does worse to me.
Nice name, by the way.
It's after the TV show, not the real one.
Exactly, not the demon.
Not the real demon.
Exactly. So when you had this happen at some of these places, did you notice a theme of the type of location that this was, or the type of person you were speaking with when you were actually pushed or kicked or bit?
When I got kicked, when I got shoved, I was actually challenging the spirit because it was working. I don't do it often, but once in a while, it's what I have to do to get something out of them. When I was scratched, I didn't notice it for an hour. I mean, the next time I took my jacket off, where did this come from? Mm-hmm. So, not really. Like I said, I can't draw any real conclusion other than a couple times when I was being mean.
Gotcha. And Carl says, question, whenever you get around to it, don't want to interrupt the narrative. Have you ever taken a pet on an investigation? I'm bringing my dog with me tomorrow, and I'm hoping he settles down enough to get reactions.
I have not. I had a Doberman, and I kept him home, and he alerted me when there was something in the house. And after him, I had a German Shepherd. But my friend Mark Farley, Dr. Farley with the St. Louis Paranormal Group, he takes his dog on every investigation. He loves it. The dog is very well trained, but the dog knows when there's something there. And I've seen that dog try to drag him out or try to get him to leave. So, because he deals with Ouija boards a lot. So there was something came in on the board that that dog didn't like.
Gotcha. And so Sandy says, that's what I was going to ask. If spirits are hateful at jails, I would be worried about attachments too. But I guess after years behind bars and decades, they tend to mellow.
Yeah, I think so. I've never had one come home with me from the jail. I've had them come home with me from a B&B and cemeteries, but not from a jail yet.
And then let's see. Nancy Weems says, okay, so she's talking about the confession that you heard. So did the guy actually end up confessing?
He did. He claimed he killed some children. And what we came up with, and there's many spirits in there, he was trying to hold the spirits there. Where the Fox Theater is now used to be a church.
Okay.
And it was in a rough section of St. Louis, a very urban section at the time. So there was a lot of poor children in that area. And I believe when they passed, a lot of them went to that church and stayed there because that's where they felt safe. There's other kids there. There's a woman there named Elizabeth, and she plays with them. I asked her if she would cross over if the kids all crossed over, and she said yes. That was the only way she would ever leave. And she was hiding the kids from Sam, the ghost.
Right.
But she was making it a game. And the last time I was there, due to COVID, there's one room there. It's down in the lower section, and it's a bar and a dining area. And they just decided that's Dan's room every year because that's where I was getting all the action. And when COVID come along, we couldn't do it one year. The next year we could do it, but we couldn't go in that room because it was too small. So they gave me the main stage. And Elizabeth was coming to the main stage and letting me know she was there. The kids were still there and everybody was fine. So, but the spirits were happy. They were, even with him, they were happy.
Very nice. Very nice. So I think because we've got some really great evidence that you've provided us. So, first of all, thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to hearing some of the stories behind it. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to queue up some of what we did. And so would you prefer that I play it first and then you set it up, or would you rather me tell you what it is
What?
and then talk about it?
What is the title of the first one?
So the first one is let's see, Jailhouse Gasconade.
All right, let's just bring it up.
Okay. All right.
I picked the jail because you own a haunted jail. So I was like, oh, we're going to throw these out.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So let's get these pulled up here. So actually, no, I'm sorry. The very first one. Yes. Yeah, it's Jailhouse Gas.
Okay,
yes,
it doesn't
Jailhouse
matter.
Gasconade.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh. Was that you making the K2 go off?
No.
Yes, he's all right. Hey, Mr. Rollins, you're being really cool.
What we'll do is we'll play it again, and then you can set it up there.
Maybe. Would you make it darker in here now for us?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking to. There's no one.
Oh. Was that you making the K2 go off?
No one.
Yes, he's all right. Hey, Mr. Rollins, you're being really cool.
Very nice.
This is where the history comes in handy, because I knew in 1935, William Henry Rollins, he was a black man who was convicted of the murder of 2 railroad detectives, and he was executed in that jail. He was taken outside the cell, put on the scaffolding, and executed. Before he died, he went through the last night of his life, I should say. He went through his entire life story with 2 newspapermen from beginning to end. He had a rough life. His mother died when he was young. His father was killed in a train accident after that. He went to live with his grandmother. She died. And by 13, he was alone. And eventually he had killed 2 Mexicans while he was in the U.S. Army in a bar fight. And he got put in prison for that after World War I. And he was in and out of prison. His thing was robbing boxcars. And there he was robbing the boxcar when he got caught and killed the 2 detectives. And on the last day, he said, I bear no malice to anyone. I caused this myself. And I really want to thank the officers for being so kind and patient with me.
Wow.
The jailer actually went in with the newspapermen and said, Willie, would you speak to these newspapermen? And they said he got up on one arm, he was in his bunk, and said, will they promise not to misquote me? And they made that promise, and he told them for hours. But that impressed the newspaper man that even he just called him Willie, and Willie called him by his first name. So I think that's why Willie liked talking to me, because he had no anger with police. Police treated him very, very well.
Very cool. So give us just a little bit of history on the background of this specific jail.
Oh, this jail, it was the 3rd one to be on that hill. And it is beautiful. It is the only county jail in the United States built completely with private funds. One man donated $50,000 to build that with the finest materials in 1896. The jail itself was taken off of a pre-World War I battleship, put on a barge, brought up the Missouri River, and they built the wing around that. So there was 2 cells. Each one had 2 racks, but that was actually the brig from a Navy ship. And over the years, it was starting to press down on the old floor, and it was actually breaking through to the basement. They had to get it out. And that's when they said, Dan, if you want to ghost hunt, now's your chance, because we're tearing it out and moving it. So I got to go in and tear it and deal with Willie and several other spirits. There was a lot of ghosts in there, but that
Absolutely.
was Willie. And Willie was my angel while I was there. He was all the last one, the fourth investigation was the only time I didn't deal with Willie.
Okay.
Every other investigation, there was 3 of them, Willie was there.
Okay. Did they call him Boxcar Willie? Is what Sandy?
No, but we did.
And then Sandy also says that's actually really interesting about the private built jail. So
that was Charles Eitzman, and he's got a house down the hill from that, which is also haunted. And that is the book I'm working on right now, is my sequel to the first Herman book about the jail, his house, the theater, and a couple other places.
very cool. Well, let's see. Let's get on with the second one here. So the second one that we've got here is Gasconade with MS3.
Okay, that's going to be the second investigation. Now, what had happened is I had a group out of Kansas, some very good friends of mine with the Kansas Paranormal Research Society, coming up to help me.
Okay.
I don't have a team. I have some friends, but I don't actually have a team. I have other teams come in, and in response, they invite me on their ghost hunts, which is why I've been in so many incredible places. But in the middle, they come to me, the lady who was the secretary to the sheriff, and said, Dan, they voted last night to go ahead and move those things. You might want to come in. I don't know how long it's going to take to get the bid and get the work started. If you want to do another one, you might want to get on it. So I called a team of friends out of St. Charles called Midwest Spirit Seekers Society, or MS3.
Okay.
And they came down. 2 of them come down to help me. This is while they were there.
Perfect. All right.
Do you want me to tell him to get up off your bunk? Is that what you want? Yours went up to the red.
Light mine up to red if you want me off this bunk, and I'll get up.
Light that thing up. Tell him. You're telling me. Tell him you want him off your bunk.
Yeah, up to red, and I'll get up.
There you went.
Oh, Jesus. I'm a man of my word.
He's still going crazy. He's not done telling me what he thinks.
Was the bottom bunk yours? Can I go on the top? That's a no.
Yeah, stay off of my bunk, boy.
Yeah, both my bunks.
Wow. So they were real responsive with you guys.
Oh, that
intelligent.
They were. Yes, very much. And in that cell, that one cell in particular, it was always like that. And I believe there were spirits coming and going, but Willie was always there, like he was protecting us. That particular spirit, I don't know which one he was, but they were having fun.
That's very cool. Okay, let's see here. We've got let's see, Gasco 4.
Okay, that's the 4th investigation. And if it's the one I'm thinking of, there's 2 female paramedics who came with us on this investigation. They'd been with me at the penitentiary in Jefferson City, and they came to help me out with that one. And they decided to sing for the prisoners. And I remember they asked, do you want to hear something from the 40s? Nothing. 50s? Nothing. 60s? All the lights went off. I mean, the meters went crazy. And the problem was none of them knew any songs from the 60s. They did not want to hear the Beatles. They really responded well to Johnny Cash. And the one they hit there was the one that finally upset the ghosts was Nancy Sinatra.
That's great. And this is a good video, because we get the same thing at the jail. Certain ones, they like their music, and they're very particular about their songs.
Well, the fun part about this one is the girls don't know the words. And finally, at the end, over the ovilus, they told them to be silent.
All right, we'll play it now.
Oh, 60s.
Oh, 60s. Yeah. Come on, get some more on the 60s. You know, oh.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You
Look at that.
saying you've got something for me. Something. I don't know the words, but these boots were made for walking. And that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. My bad.
Well, apparently some of the audience liked it and then somebody didn't. That was good. Yay! That was good. Yes. You want another? Yes, captive audience here. You want another song from the 60s? What do you see? Sure.
Sugar, Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
I hear that train coming. It's rolling down the track. I ain't seen the sunshine.
Whoa, that's a big hit.
I don't know
Johnny
when
Cash.
I'm stuck in Folsom Prison and time keeps dragging on. When I hear that train a rolling, I hang my head and cry. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. One stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on.
What was that?
Oh, shit.
Oh. Very nice. These girls are giving their best performance. She did good. Yes, very good. Apparently somebody don't like Johnny Cash.
Man. But most of the other ones did.
Yes, most of the audience enjoyed it.
It's Folsom Prison Blues. Yeah.
There, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, what other song did Johnny Cash make that was
I
popular?
Walk the Line.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Or Ring of Fire.
They're both good. They're both good. Good.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. I should bring my guitar.
Yes. Oh, you know what? That would be a good ghost hunting tool.
It would.
Yes. In a jail place, or even the penitentiary.
Or the harmonica.
Oh, harmonica,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, harmonica.
We got a harmonica fan here. Did you play the harmonica? Can you play something for us? Can you put out a hoot or a tune or?
Maybe, do you want a song that would have harmonica in it?
Can you sense them in any particular place?
It's more towards you.
Okay.
Yeah. Some. Okay, Billy, come on. Set those darn things off. We want to see something. Christmas lights. You're such a coward, Billy.
Maybe they want to come from you.
Always standing behind somebody else. Come forward. Don't stand behind Dan all the time.
There it is. Come on. You're close. Keep doing it. Setting off one. Can you setting off those two, but not the ones on either side of them?
It's only blinking.
Come on, set up all.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
Keep going.
Come on. Yeah, have a fifth
Attaboy.
one. There you go. Okay, you're not a coward, right? But you're still a murderer. Oh yeah.
They seem to get weaker after the cells were removed. And I honestly don't believe Willie was there. I think Willie left with the cells.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, so all up until that investigation, the cells were there?
Right. And after the cells were removed, I got one last chance to go in. There was a hole in the floor. I had chairs around it so nobody would go through it. And we just put the meters on the floor and went at it. But the ghosts that were there loved the girls singing. It was wild. Did
Yeah.
not like missing the words. That just upset him greatly.
It was almost like they were singing, or because it was kind of going, we get that where it's like it's clapping or tapping to the beat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a beat.
Yeah.
So that was a fun time there.
That was a very cool one. Let's see. We've got let's see here. Matt, let's see. Matt improved audio.
Okay. Matt was our cameraman. Now, Matt was afraid of ghosts, but he made videos and commercials for local movie theaters and some local television. He wanted to do a ghost show, and he'd been with me before, but this time it got really personal with him. You run it and then you'll see.
Okay, sure.
Kind of, Nate, did you not just send a name?
No. You know what?
I heard something come from farther out. It sounded like you saying my name. It sounded like it came from the door or the hallway.
Saying the first name?
Yeah. And I would have put money on it being you, but I didn't. You're too close.
Okay, well, you're doing great. I appreciate it. And I'm just trying to nail this down a little bit. So, buddy, can you tell me, is there a spirit that came here with Matt to communicate with him? Ta-da! Willie, are you still with me? All right. That must be just a random word. Is the female that came here with Matt?
Did that just say that?
Heard something similar to it, but I
When I
couldn't
shit
say.
my pants, you gotta help me.
I don't.
Like, at least get me out of here.
Reading it.
Matt, I'm sorry. The spirit, I'm Willie, I'm talking to you, brother. The spirit that came here with Matt.
That said that.
I didn't hear it that time. I'm before I argued with you.
But it answered somehow when I said that. That's too coincidental that it happened twice in a row.
Those were definitely intelligent spirits and
Very
very
much.
aware. Yeah.
And what had happened is we had one of those, like a Frank's box. It was the one built by Radio Shack.
Okay.
And the radio you buy and took it whatever apart so it would scan.
Like a Hack
constantly.
Shack.
Yeah. And we put that up there. I'd never used it before, but we was getting absolutely nothing through because we were in a stainless steel shell.
Mm-hmm.
Radio signals were not coming through, and then suddenly it said Matt 4 times. And he was getting so nervous because he was afraid his wife was going to leave him if he brought a ghost home. And I think you got one more about Matt and the rods. That's what comes next.
Okay.
I think we made this clear, but maybe I'm wrong, so let me ask again. Did you meet Matt here?
Was Matt even the right?
Okay, would you point these rods at the person you came here with?
And when you see all that shaking at the end, he got up and ran out of the cell. And I went out and talked to him, and believe it or not, he had such an adrenaline dump. He was out in the main part of the building doing push-ups. I said, Matt, what's going on? And he was really worried about it. So him and I went outside alone, and I talked to the ghost there, and I got her name, and it's all I needed for Matt, because he had bought his house from an old widower, and the lady who had lived there before she passed loved children. She had like 5 or 6 kids and 8 or 10 grandkids. Loved babies. His wife had just had their second baby, and she was there to see the kid. And then she came with him to tell him that's what she was there for. So he calls his wife. He goes, honey, I know, don't get upset. I know you're upset. Don't get upset, honey. Listen to me. There's a ghost in our house. It's the lady who used to live there, but she don't mean any harm, but she's there because of the baby. And he braced, and all of a sudden his wife comes over the phone saying, well, that explains a lot. And apparently they had one of those swings that you wind up and it plays music and goes back and forth. And she was in getting ready for work. The swing stopped. The baby started fussing. She figured, I got a few minutes, and she finished what she was doing. She goes back in. It had been wound up again and pushed. And even though she's the only other person there, and the baby was pointing and giggling at someone. So that explained everything. They were satisfied, but he never went on another ghost hunt with me again.
The ones that are all gung-ho about it, that's never done one before, those are always the most fun, because it always seems like the spirits know that, and they will mess with them. Yeah. So much fun.
I think the spirits can actually see if we're afraid.
I think so. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's like any other human. If you see an opening, they go after it. So it's been a blast with them.
Absolutely. You know, my camera guy in my first 2 seasons, Josh, he was not a paranormal investigator. And every time something would happen, you know, he tried to be silent, you know, and he would end up saying something and he's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, this is perfect, because the spirits can see and know, and the reaction is genuine, and it never failed every time. You know, they always messed with me. Let's see. The next one we have is MS3K2.
Okay, let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Red.
No.
It was dead. Second he left, it was dead till he came back.
Yeah, it was dead. Nothing in here. We thought the batteries were dead, but as soon as he walked back in. How many of you guys here? 3 of you guys?
Can you show?
Is there enough room in your car for 3 people? 3 more, I mean 3 additional.
It's all open to the
Oh
room.
my God.
Look at it, mine's not barely doing anything.
Mine's not doing nothing.
Okay,
I went up to orange.
Let's try something weird. You switch this corner, let me go that corner. Now,
No, that's weird. That's weird.
See?
Look at that. He's following you. Nothing.
Yep.
Nothing.
Wow. So I had left the cell and went up to the courtroom, and Willie went with me.
Okay.
And they said, and if you listen close, you can hear them saying that when I left, everything went dead. They actually thought their batteries were gone because nothing happened. I come back, all the lights start going off, but specifically with that tall guy back here in the back. So while it's going off for him and no one else, and then the guy named Troy over here, he's sitting down in the corner, and he says, well, let's trade places. Maybe it's something in that corner. They trade places again. His is the only one that lights. Well, after that, the other voice you heard there, the deeper man voice, that's Ted. And Ted asked the ghost, do you want to go home with him? And it said, yes. He says, well, you're going to have to ride in the trunk. And the lights flickered. That guy quit ghost hunting the next day. He's never been ghost hunting again.
Did it follow him?
I don't think so, but he was scared. He was absolutely terrified. And he said that, you are not welcome to come with me. And he made a big deal of it. But yeah, he gave up after that.
Well, and Sandy says, did they go easy on your batteries or did they suck them dry there?
The first time they went dry fast. The second time, not so much, and I didn't have any problem at all the next 2 times.
Okay.
So yeah, you're right. That's something that happens, but it didn't happen the last 2 trips.
Okay, and then this next one we've got cell door.
Okay, so I'm in there with MS3,
Okay.
and what you will see is one's K2 going off, but he doesn't notice because he's pointing at the other guy whose K2 was going off. I was in the doorway. Remember, this was a brig to a Navy ship. That was not a regular door. That was an airtight hatch. Had to weigh a good 250 pounds.
Okay.
But it shoved hard enough closed that it hit me and knocked me into the room. You'll just catch a quick glimpse of my arm falling into the screen. But I got shoved into the room and the door was slammed shut behind me.
Wow. All right.
It's like he leaves.
I'm thinking it's almost like he's talking.
Whoa. What was that?
The door moved. Look at the
The
door.
door pushed me.
The door moved.
Come on, seriously?
Look at the door. Look at it. It's shut.
I see that, but what was it before?
It was about like that, and I was standing right here.
It's been standing like that all night. It hasn't moved.
Yeah, I was right about here because I wanted to get just slightly out of the hallway as far away
Now
from
try
you.
leaning on it. See, push your shoulder and see what it moves.
Will the floor buckle and move it?
The door's been like that all night.
So do you think there was activity attached to it from where it was on the ship?
No, I don't believe there was. I think it was all prisoners. I tried to make contact with any sailor, and I was a sailor. I was hoping it would work.
Mhm.
Either that or Willie was just too strong. Willie wanted attention.
That makes sense.
Willie wasn't strong enough. When the woman who came with Matt was there, he just backed off and let her talk. So,
all right. And then we've got yes, EVP.
there's about 3 different times you'll hear a girl's voice say yes.
Okay.
It's just a real brief one.
Okay. We'll play it one more time here, just since that's so brief.
When I originally did it, I totally missed the first yes. It was so light. But later on, and now I can hear plainly, there's 3 of them there.
Okay. And the female, right?
I'm taking it as a little girl. And when I was there with the Kansas paranormal folks, we were sitting in that cell and the whole place was locked down. We had folks upstairs in the courtroom, some in the basement, and us. Nobody was moving, but out in the hallway was a girl giggling. And it was just the most lovely little girl giggle you could imagine. And I ran out there and I made everyone stay where they were. And I searched that place from top to bottom. I don't know where the doors were locked. Nobody could have come in or out. So I don't know where that little girl come from.
So any ideas why there would be a little girl there?
At one time, the sheriff and his family lived in the rotunda. And the sheriff's wife was paid to fix meals for the prisoners. Also, there was definitely at the bottom of the hill in an old tavern, a little girl ghost who had been seen multiple times. So my first guess is she knew what we were doing and she come up there to join in the fun.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. And so the last 2 are coming from the place you had mentioned earlier,
Yes.
from Herman Police.
Herman Police Station had moved a few years ago. A man who owned a old age care center had donated the building to the city for a city hall and police station. And I had talked to some of the dispatchers. They had heard a grandfather clock ticking some nights. None in the building, of course, but they could hear that. They could hear people shuffling like old people walk. They shuffle their feet. Never found anything there. They were getting nervous. And then the second in command, the assistant chief, saw somebody walking through the part of the building into an area that's a kitchen and kind of a social dining area. So he thought someone had broken into the police station, and he chased down with his gun drawn, ready to go, and nobody was there. That's when they asked me to come on in, see what you find. So there's a lot of spirits there. One of them is a former police officer there that they know. Several of them know him. He just passed away a few years ago. And in this case, though, I was talking to one spirit who was kind of weak. You know how they are, where they take forever to answer and they're just not real strong. But a stronger one came in and demanded attention.
Okay. All right.
All right. So you have no problem with the policeman here? No?
Your K2 is
You're
gone.
getting action.
Oh, did anybody
It's
else?
off now. No. Oh, that's the only one?
Was that you setting off the meter for me? Was you setting off that gray meter on the table? No. Is there another spirit setting off the meter? I'll take that as a yes.
The black one went off too.
Okay. Okay. The spirit that is setting off the meter, would you stop, please? All right, well, let me ask you now, talk to you. Would you cross the rods if you're the spirit setting off the meter? Cross the rods or set the meter off again, whatever you want to do. Wow.
That's great.
Awesome. Outstanding. That's cool. Okay. All right, stop the meter for me so I can ask you a question. Thank you.
That's some great K2 activity. Whoops.
And I love when the meters and the rods are reacting at the same time.
Yes.
That's so incredible. Continue with that one because there's a second part to that video.
Oh, let's see. Okay.
Originally, the chief did not want me to say where I was at, but now they said,
Gotcha.
yeah, go ahead. Everyone knows.
Okay.
This building. Stop dead.
Yeah, as soon as you asked it, yeah.
It's- Did you pass away on the farm?
Okay, so you were trying to get attention to the spirit who's been setting off the meter. Are you male? Okay, are you a female? Were you a female? And meter action. Pretty good, pretty good. All right. All right, man. I don't know if you was in here, but my name's Dan. And do you have a message for somebody or in particular? No. Okay, so let me go back to asking the questions and see if we can figure out. Did you live in the city limits of Herman? Did you live in Gasconade County? When you was alive before you came here, was you in the county?
Ooh.
And none of the others that's supposed to be. All right, would you stop the meters, please, so I can ask you another question? Are you enjoying setting the meters off?
Look at that, look at that.
All right, well, you're doing a great job.
Only Dan Terry could do that.
Okay, this is gonna be really weird, but I swear I just saw something white under the table across from that chair to that chair.
Was that
Almost
you
like an orb.
that Dan saw?
Meters, it was.
Thank you.
3 of them went off.
Thank you very much.
I'm a little behind on that book, yeah. But it's happened to me a lot. It happened to me at the Fox. I got it on video. I participated in the world's largest ghost hunt last year in Holton, Kansas. And they were just amazed that I have to ask the spirits to stop setting off the meter so I can move on to the next question. And that just happens to me a lot. Does it happen to you too?
It does. We're often having them, back up and stop, especially, doing the flashlights, doing the meters. What I love about that in your other videos that you're showing is I like that you're getting the validation, not just with the rods, but you're also getting it with the K2 meters at the same time. Yeah,
that happens a lot also. And I've been very fortunate that I've had the video out when the great stuff happens.
Yes. And that doesn't happen often. So
no, it doesn't.
But it is cool that they are doing that. And when they're saying yes to the rods, that's really wild.
And they get excited. You got to say, okay, stop setting off the meters now. We got to move on.
Exactly. So we've got one more, which is also there at Herman Police Station.
I don't know what that one would be, but let's give it a shot. It might be one of the same ones again. I may have sent it to you twice.
Okay, let's see.
So you have no problem with the policeman here? Yeah, it's the same one again.
Okay. I think that's the shorter version, actually, now that I see that. Okay. Fantastic evidence, Dan.
I've been very lucky. And again, I think being in the jail settings and being a policeman has helped. They just seem to want to talk to me more.
Absolutely. So I want to go ahead and, share your website and, where people can find your books, because like I said, I've got the Supernatural Washington and then the 2 Ornery to Die. That was a fun book. I really enjoyed that one.
Again, that goes right back to the jail thing. I went through a few jails and all with that one.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's some great places in here that you cover, some, not just the penitentiaries but also small jails as well. So just a wide variety.
I think we dealt with Frank James in the one in Independence.
That's yes. And let's see here. So I'm going to pull up your site here. Is this the best place to find your books? Is on your website?
Yeah, there are some on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. You can get the electric version. Same with Amazon if you're into ebooks. But if you do this one, I autograph them and send them out from here.
Love it. And so, what was your favorite one to write?
Herman Shadows was satisfying because I fought so hard to get into her. Herman is a German community. They would not talk to strangers about their ghosts ever. They just wouldn't do it. One restaurant let me in and bragged me up so much that I spent the next 2 years in Herman in different places. Once the first one let me in, the others fell like rain. It was incredible.
I can understand that. That's kind of how it is in sort of, I don't want to say clannish areas, but people know when you're not from there and they don't really want to share if it's not their own. So I totally understand that.
And writing Supernatural Washington was fun because I'd done so much in that town, and the local museum was so incredibly helpful. They had a curator, Mark, who was just, God, he knew everything about the history of the town right off the top of his head. And he was more than willing to share. He was an incredible guy. He passed away from cancer about a year ago. And boy, he was something.
Man. And that's so cool that it's about a whole area, an entire area of stories. So occasionally you run across towns like that.
Towns along rivers are really very haunted, but sometimes the people don't want to talk about it.
That absolutely. So I definitely recommend that folks go check this out. And this is on spookstalker.com, which Dan has there in his title. We've also got it in all of the show notes there. And we'll definitely make sure to highlight that as well. But it's really cool because you got a great site, because you can go on, you can find your books, you can find where, let's see if it let me pull it up there. Yeah, about different events that are coming up, as well as other things that are just going on. So
I see a change I need to make. I've got a title up there at the top of my original podcast, and I'd quit that years ago before the folks at Onyx Magazine asked me to start writing for them and then start doing a podcast on theirs. So
Gotcha.
I'm going to have to change that to Most Haunted now.
Yeah, and actually that's another one I do want to show here, because you have a great podcast as well. I mean, you're a busy dude.
I've got a great guest. You were awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So your show is on the new X.
On xnetwork.com. My show is Most Haunted, but we have got some incredible people. Whitley Strieber is on there. His show is on there. Micah Hanks. We've just got the most incredible group of people there. If you want Bigfoot, ghosts, UFOs, they're all covered on these shows. And then most of the shows, the ones that are in-house, like mine, are on YouTube within a day or two.
Okay. Yeah, we've had a couple different guests here on the show. The Blondes from Paranormally Blonde, they've been on. And fun ladies, Sarah Jane.
Yes, they are.
And I've had Mike Ricksecker on. And so we've had several different people from the network on. So your show airs Fridays at 10 p.m.?
10 p.m. Eastern, yeah.
Okay.
And we've got, like I said, my thing for the show is I don't go for the big names. I don't go for the people everyone knows, the whatever. But I go for the folks that nobody will ever hear of. The little ghost hunting group, the ghost tour group, the guy who lives in a haunted house, folks. Next week's guest, I've got a lady who owns a World War II hospital ship out of West Virginia. And it was actually, they use it every Halloween for a haunted venue, but it is really haunted.
Very cool. And I like that, because it's I do the same with my show, because I prefer, I like to get people who are doing things, because you have the well-known, the paracelebs or whatever as we call them. And that's great. They've done their thing. They've paid their dues, but it's the people. There are so many amazing, interesting content creators out there, and investigators, authors, podcasters, that they're out there. They're doing the boots on the ground paranormal investigating. And I really love to be able to introduce the people who watch this show to those folks and to their content, because, people are always looking for new things to watch, and so and to read and to listen to. And so I love to be able to use this platform to open that up, because I'm sure it's very regional, here, like in the Southeast, a lot of us, of course, we know people all around the country, but here in the Southeast, we kind of know a lot of the folks that are out doing this, but it's really cool to meet other folks in these other regions and learn about what they're doing, because you can always learn.
I had a guy who runs a ghost tour in Beaufort, North Carolina, which is right off the coast from the graveyard of the Atlantic. Ooh. And where they found Blackbeard's first ship is right there. Blackbeard lived in that town. And this guy knew the history so well. He knew the names, dates right down to the year. It wasn't sometime in the 17th century. It was 1642. Such a pleasure to talk to people who are that well aware of history and the ghost stories.
Absolutely.
And those are the folks I'm looking for.
Absolutely. And so, again, plug where people can find you and listen to you, find your books. Go ahead and plug away all of your information.
The podcast is on the Onyx Network. That's unxnetwork.com. And the rest of it is available at spookstalker.com. Also, we have a magazine, the Onyx Magazine. Comes out 4 times a year. It's available as an e-book or e-magazine or regular. And I've almost always got an article. The last one I did had a large article on a Ouija board museum in St. Louis, in which people send him their Ouija boards. And one put him in the hospital. He's had demonic activity. He's had all kinds of stuff because they just send him. He'll get them without any kind of a note. Sometimes it'll just say, it's haunted, do something with this. But sometimes there's nothing. But I did a long article on the history of the Ouija board leading into his museum. So the magazine's really cool. And again, UFOs, fairies, Bigfoot, leprechauns, whatever you're into, it's covered.
Nice. And they can find that on or subscribe to that, I guess, on
Onyx Network. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a little spot up there for the magazine, Onyx Magazine, and
Perfect.
just hit that. It'll take you to where you need to go.
Perfect. Any events coming up that you got going on?
I actually, starting tomorrow, will be working part-time for the ghost tour of Mount Airy, North Carolina. And that's about it right now. I know we're working on some things, but I don't have anything scheduled. We just had our Onyx virtual conference.
Okay.
Never done a conference by Zoom before. It turned out much better than I expected. But next year, we're going to have it in Kansas City area. So next year, it's going to be live, barring any more diseases.
Right. Yeah. So guys, definitely go check out spookstalker.com. Check out, Dan's books. I highly recommend those. Also his podcast, go on there, check out the X Network, and check out Dan's show, as well as some of the other great folks that's putting content out there. And, you'll be glad you did. Definitely go like and subscribe to his stuff, because, I love the fact that you put the content out, you put it out in the book form, you put it out in the video form. It's just great. You got something for everyone.
Well, I do enjoy that. So, and again, your audience has been incredible. I've seen the comments and the questions. You've got a really great group of people following you.
Absolutely. They're the best. And so thank you, Dan. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you, and we'll definitely have to have you come back a little bit later on in the year and talk about more of your investigations.
Well, hopefully I'll have another book out by October, and we'll have to talk about that one.
That sounds good. You'll have to keep me posted. If you'll stick around, I'll catch up with you here afterwards. Got a few more things to cover, and we'll talk to you in a second.
Thanks again. Take care, folks.
And again, thank you all so much over in the chat room for your questions and your comments. I really appreciate you guys. And like I said, just be on the lookout for other cool events that's coming up on the Ghost Biker Explorations webpage, www.ghostbikerexplorations.com, as well as on the historic Scott County Jail page. Going to flash that up there on the screen. You can book a private paranormal investigation through the remainder of the year, or take part in one of our events, flashlight tours, guided ghost hunts, after dark tours, or even group tours. So that's under www.historicscottcojail.com. And then also just one more thing that I wanted to make sure to plug on up here. So 2 weeks ago, we had the Harold Young Memorial Scholarship, and, we're still raising money for that. That is a scholarship named in my dad's name. And so to date, we had raised $560. We've got a couple more donations that have come in that's taken that total up to $700 now. So super, super excited about that. But we're still continuing to accept scholarship donations throughout the remainder of the year, because we will do this again in May. And so if you would like to make a donation to the Harold Young Memorial Scholarship, you can mail checks to the address that's shown there, which is 214 Lytton Covered Bridge Road, Huntsville, Tennessee, 37756. We do have all of that information on the Ghost Biker Explorations website, as well as the historic Scott County Jail page. So, make sure, check that out. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and pull this up. This actually just came out today, which very cool and very excited about. The local newspaper, the Scott County News, they ended up doing an entire full-page article on the second annual Harold Young Memorial Scholarship Dart Run. And we've got the scholarship winner there, who was Miss Gracie King. She received a $1,000 scholarship. Like I said, we released a video on this last week, so you can go back and you can watch some of the cool things that we did during the day. But we also have the actual winner of the second annual Memorial Scholarship Dart Run, and that was Miss Nancy Burke. And so it was a very tight game. She ended up winning by 1 point, and she won a very, very cool trophy that was fabricated by Mashed Thumb Welding and Fabrication. So it was really cool. A lot of folks came together, got my family there in the picture, as well as the winners. So we were really proud and honored to be able to give that scholarship to the very first recipient, and we're looking forward to being able to do this in years to come. So again, just a cool thing to be a part of, and we're really excited about it. So we're hoping to be able to give a $1,000 scholarship again next year. So just be on the lookout for more information of other events that we're going to have going on that's going to help to continue to raise money for that. So anyways, like I said, lots of things going on. We do have, I had a little bit of difficulty with next week's guest. They had to cancel, so we're still working on getting someone for next week. We will post that, who that's going to be the first part of the week. And just filming for season 5. So super excited about that. We filmed all episodes except for 2 that we've got going on. So season 5 of Ghost Biker Explorations is going to drop in the first Tuesday of October. That seems like it's so far away, but we are here starting June. So real excited to get that underway as well. So I think we're going to go ahead, wrap that up, but check out Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page, YouTube channel, website for other events and cool things that are coming up when we release the events that are going to be taking place this fall. We'll be releasing those this coming week, and you'll probably be able to purchase tickets for those coming up very, very soon. And again, check out my tonight's guest, spookstalker.com, Mr. Dan Terry. Check him out, check his books out, and we'll, hopefully we'll have him back on when a new book is coming out. So again, I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys next week. Take care.